Oh, man. We did it. We freaking did it. We released a game. That game is called Gravitorium. Technically, it's out tomorrow, but by the time you're watching this, it's going to be on Steam. Oh, man. It took a lot of work. I worked on it internationally while on vacation in Japan as well, while also having a full-time job, and then, finished it up after getting back. This game, at this point, is an era of my life that I'm not going to forget, and so I kind of want a time capsule to remember this by. So I wanted to talk about one of the levels that I designed, which I'll get more into later, and also just what it feels like to do this. For a very long time, I've wanted to be a game developer, and after having not officially released a Steam game for so long, but having made small stuff here and there, I had to ask myself, what does it even mean to be a game developer? But now, without a shadow of a doubt, having released something that's going to be on Steam that you can buy, which feels crazy to me, I am a game developer. This, right now it doesn't feel like that crazy a thing, and it never really was. Spoiler alert. But I want to go over what the experience was like. Now, I mentioned that I designed a level. In fact, I designed 20 levels for this game. That was exciting. So not only was I a programmer on this project, I was a game designer on this project, which if you followed my blog at all, I think it's called Game Dev Journey now, or Game Dev Journal. That's something that I've been super interested in, is just game design. So now that I've actually worked on a game as a game designer and as a programmer, and that game is being released, and I've had some hand in how fun that game is, I want to get into that. So first off, just working on it as a programmer. As a programmer, now that this game is releasing tomorrow, my biggest fear is, oh my god, what if that game crashes? What if something doesn't work? What if it's not functional? Because that's what I worked on, right? I made the level select screen. If that level select screen, let me go ahead and show you here. If that level select screen doesn't work, then, that's a reflection on me and whether I did my job right. So as you can see, we have level select here. And if we go into any one of these levels, you can see that we count how many grav ore you have collected. We have images for each level now, which is very exciting. And then each level here has a little icon showing how many you've collected for that level. So this took a lot of work, a surprising amount of work, and especially work over time. And I guess that's the next thing that I would like to talk about is this was a marathon for me. This wasn't a sprint, which is why I say I guess I'm a game developer now. I think the whole point of that is that you're a game developer if you work on games, right? It's that simple. You don't necessarily need to have released anything, because what's the difference right now, the day before release, and tomorrow, the day that it releases? I'm not going to have crammed in a bunch of code by then. All my code contributions are done. So what is the difference from me today and tomorrow? It's just how I decide to label myself as a game designer. That whole idea, that whole concept of am I this or that, is silly to me in retrospect. But makes sense given that it's something that I've wanted to do for a long time. That's not where my career went. My career went down the path of just software engineering. No regrets at all. I'm in a great team, great space, all that stuff is awesome. But I still want to join a game development team. I still wanted to. Now I've done that. And I really enjoyed it. Working with other developers on a game, you can clearly tell that there's passion behind what it is that we do here. I mean, man, the other dev on the team, he went above and beyond. He was so passionate about this game. And a lot of the levels that I made for this game was while I was on vacation. So clearly that came out of passion and just a genuine curiosity and an exploration, a want of an exploration of this space. So I'll transition there from programming to design. And I want to do that by showing you but one of the levels that I had made for this game. I think it's here and here and here. So this level is called The Ecstasy of Gold. And I called it that while listening to, I came up with this idea while listening to the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly soundtrack. And if you haven't heard that song, hopefully this video doesn't get taken down, but here's part of the song. It plays during the part where Tuco is like running around in this graveyard. No spoilers. He's running around in a graveyard looking for this money, and he just knows that it's in one of the graves, but he doesn't know which one. And you have this amazing shot of him just running around, and like the camera pans out, or you get this view of all the graves that he could possibly look into, and this idea that the gold is here somewhere. I just have no idea where it is. Let me stop playing that before I get taken down or something. So all you really know is that, oh my god, this is the gold that people have been looking for. Like, oh, but the search is so ridiculous. Like, what are the odds that we're going to be able to find this gold here? And so that's where I got the idea for this level is like, you're on a search, but you don't know which one. Like, clearly one of these buttons unlocks this door, but which one is it? And I made it, this was kind of a joke level. And I wouldn't say this is the level I'm most proud of. This is just the level that I want to show off because of how ridiculous it is, but also like genuine. Like, I learned a pretty big lesson on design while working on this game, which is really just how creativity works. And creativity fundamentally is just combining different ideas together. And so what did I do? I combined whatever came to mind I combined that scene in The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly with Gravitorium, and this is what came out. And it just is what it is, right? Like, some people might say this level's horrible, some people might say it's great. The thing that matters to me really is, I hope it was fun for people in some way, even if it is a bit of a gimmicky level. But really for me, I had fun making it. And this is where I'm kind of glad that, this isn't my career, because I could see very easily me worrying so much about like, oh, is it doing exactly what I needed it to do? But also, like, there's a bunch of other game designers working on different levels for this, and I need to make sure I do my part. This was just fun, and I hope that people have fun with this level. I'm not going to actually play the level because it spoils which one the right button is, and I think just showing you gets this idea across. But yeah, working on this game as a designer taught me so much about creativity, because I had read up on creativity. One of the first things I was doing when looking into game design in my blog was like reading up on different books, reading up on like, what is this creativity thing that I don't necessarily flex as a programmer, because yeah, we use creativity, but it's so like structured. You try to use patterns, you try to optimize, but there's no right answer for something like this level, right? Let me make this screen a little bit bigger, give you something nicer to look at. Creativity. So yes, working on this level taught me a lot about that. Working on every level that I made, and I'll do another video at some point going over all the levels I made, because I would love to talk about the inspiration for all of them. And my big, I guess, point here of what it feels like working as a designer on this project is that it was fun. Nobody looked at any of these levels and went like, oh, this isn't good enough, like, these ideas are ridiculous. Like, no, we're all just contributing to the same project that we care about. And in fact, a lot of the responses for some of the levels that I made were like, oh, good stuff. And I actually felt really proud of my design in a lot of these levels, because in particular, we have a shield mechanic and we have a missile mechanic. And I came up with a different way of using those two mechanics together. And that in itself was creative, because we hadn't had any levels that expected the player to do something very particular with the mechanics. But then creating a level that teaches the player how this thing works was something special. And I really enjoyed that. And I'll talk about that in another video. But yeah, I think my biggest takeaway from working on this was that I actually really love game design, especially tackling it again from a perspective of like fun and not like this is my livelihood. I'm getting paid for this, because I could easily see it like in a really big team that's got like tons of back and forth between people. I could see it being something where like, you know, lots of people are like judging, not even like an audience judging your levels. I feel fine if anybody came to this level and was like, this level's trash. Like, okay, that's fine. But like on a team where, you know, you are evaluated and like given promotions and whatnot based on your performance, right? So, um, I my biggest takeaway is that I really, really love design. I love the type of creativity that design brings out of me. Um, and I love, honestly, the way that I tackled understanding creativity, which I think I'll either write something about or record something about later on, because creativity is something you can understand and evoke. You can cultivate that, which it just didn't, you know, cross my mind that, you know, that's something that you can understand and then get better at. But that's because I was a programmer for so long. Like I was just focusing on like design patterns and understanding how a system works and like, you know, understanding the logic of everything. But in creativity, I was going to say there is no logic, but no, there is a logic to how it works. But you have to be able to just accept what comes out. Like this level, like I kind of didn't consider submitting it, but I'm very happy that I did, because it's just a thing that was made, rather than, oh, it's bad, it's good, some label attached to it. It just exists. And that's what I'm so proud of with this level, with all the levels that I made, with this game, and with the team, honestly, is that this would not have existed without us, right? I wouldn't have been able to make this level without that team. They wouldn't have my levels in there, and like the game wouldn't be what it is today without like this particular team. It'll be something completely different with 4 different people. And I think that's amazing. And I love that this reflects a point in time in my life. Like I designed this level in Japan. I designed every single level that I put into this game in Japan. And yeah, it was just a lot of fun. And I hope that my adventures into game design and game development in the future like continue to be fun. That's really what I'm looking for more of in life, is just fun and helping other people have fun. Like I hope if you play this, you enjoy this level, or let me know what you think, and or let me know what you think of the game as well. And I think I've run out of stuff to talk about for this, but I'm just very happy that, you know, the game's releasing tomorrow, and it got made. It got made. Yeah, let me go over my tiny bits of notes here. Yep, talked about the ecstasy of gold, talked about what it was like being a programmer and a designer, and talked about the biggest lesson. One more thing I will say is that it's kind of tough bouncing between programming and design, because they both require almost like a headspace that you have to get into, right? Like if I spent one day on a big feature on like level select, like I have to load all that stuff into my brain to like remember how everything works and then figure out what the best way to do something is. It goes the same way for design. Design is not something that like this level was a lot of sketching and like, oh, that idea didn't really work. Okay, what am I trying to do with this level? Okay, yeah. Okay, here's an idea. Now how can I take that idea and make it fun? Finding the fun is, at least for this game, was fun to me. And, you know, I come back to a lot of ideas I had of like, you know, I would like to design magic cards. I would like to do all this other stuff. And to me, those legitimately sound like fun. And I think that being a software engineer for so long, being a programmer for so long, has sort of like trapped me in this, like, that it has to be like constructed, it has to be done, it has to be made, and it has to make sense, rather than like, oh, and you have to do it like the right way, rather than let me just poke around with something and see what comes of it, which is a very different, you know, just different like mind spaces you have to inhabit. And I do like the push and pull from both. I do enjoy programming, but I also am learning that I'm really enjoying design. So yeah, that's the last thing I got to say about that. I just wanted to make sure to record something before the game got out, before all the bugs, before everybody finds the bugs. And yeah, so I had a lot of fun doing this. And if you followed this in any capacity, like seriously, thank you for following. I appreciate you greatly. And let me know what you think about the game, about this video, other videos I've done, about the journey. Because yeah, this has been a journey of development. Yeah. And when I look at something like the level select screen, it's funny looking at this now because I'm like, man, I see the bits and pieces. Like, I know the code that's running underneath this. Like, this feels very like put together. But at the same time, like, yeah, this is a put together thing that is now done. So anyway, I'm going in circles at this point. So I will call it there, and I will catch you in whatever the next thing is. I'm hoping to continue with game design in general. I have a whole other project that we did a game jam on that I would love to show off. It was gonna be a horror game, and still can be a horror game based on some like Mexican mythology. There's a whole story written for it, and I have like the design of a level that we did in a game jam, so that might be cool to take on next. But who knows? Whatever it is, I hope I continue to have fun with it, and as long as I'm having fun with it, I will continue exploring it. So anyway, thanks for sticking around, thanks for following along, and I will catch you in the next thing. See ya.